My name is Julie, and today I want to talk about Romans 8 and how it has worked in my life. Romans 8 says, "And we know that for those who love God, all things work together for the good, for those who are called according to His purpose." On January 23rd, my life changed forever. My husband, John Monday, died from double pneumonia and the flu.
When the pieces seem too shattered to gather off the floor, and all that seems to matter is that I don't feel you anymore. No, I don't feel you anymore.
He was in the CCU of Park West for almost 3 weeks. He was on a ventilator and he was completely sedated. So for almost 3 weeks, I lived at the hospital during the day in the CCU, just slept there and went back to see him every 3 or 4 hours during my visits, and then went home at night to be with our boys, Jackson and Jude. I started going to the Ridge about 4 years ago. Bobby and John had known each other for years, and so Bobby asked John if he would come help him at the Ridge. John was the type of guy who took charge and didn't take no for an answer and just got work done. So his first title at the church was GCD guy, which meant get crap done. It was very fitting for him. His personality was, he was bold and unashamed of his Jesus, and he was unashamed of his church. If you had Facebook, you knew John because you were invited to church every single week. His goal in life was to live for God and to bring his friends to Christ, to bring his friends who he had grown up with and bring them to church.
And I need a reason.
We have two crazy boys, Jackson and Jude. We had trouble getting pregnant for the first couple years of our marriage and had a couple miscarriages. And through that, we decided to start doing the foster care. Through that process, we were able to foster Jackson, who we ended up adopting. And while we were fostering him, I was pregnant with Jude. And so we had Jude and Jackson, and they're only 7 months apart. So needless to say, we led a very busy life. So you might be asking, what does this have to do with Romans 8? Why am I talking about all of this stuff with John and of his passing? What does any of that have to do with God working all things out for the good of me? And if you had asked me if God was working things out for the good of me a few months ago, I probably would have said, there's no way. There's no way he's doing that. How can it be good that I lost my husband? How can it be good that he took John away from me? How is it good for me? How is it good for my kids? How is it good for anybody that he's gone?
I need a reason to see.
No, life is not great, and it's not rainbows and unicorns like Bobby likes to reference it all the time. But there are certain things that God has shown me through this. There are certain things where I see God working for my good. And some of those are, first off, my relationship with God has grown. I feel closer to Him. I feel a stronger relationship with Him. I feel that through this whole situation, He has shown me that life is a vapor. It goes by so quickly, and that our main purpose is not to glorify ourselves and for us, all about us, that it's about Him and it's about glorifying Him. I know for a fact that John glorified God with his life, and I know for a fact that we glorified God in our marriage. So there's no reason for me to be upset about any of that. I can't be upset about the time that I had with John, because I had a lot of time with him. Also, John is with God. If he had made it through the CCU, he would have probably had to been in rehab for a little while because of the ventilator that was in his throat. And then after that, who knows how long it would have taken him to get back to normal. And he would have been hurting and suffering, and it would have been a very long process. And now he's with our Heavenly Father, worshiping and honoring and praising Him. Another thing, I had the opportunity to be a part of his amazing life. I got to see him go from being Monday to John. He showed me how to be bold and to be unashamed of my faith. And not only was his testimony beneficial to me, but it was beneficial to others as well. John left a legacy that is like very few in the world. I'm blessed to have been a part of that. And I know that lives would not have been changed if this had not happened. People may not have ever come to church who John invited if this had not have happened. I've seen several people, several of his friends have come to church. I know lives have been changed because of John and because of the legacy that he left. And so now I have these two rambunctious boys who had the opportunity to have a wonderful father for a very short time. I'm thankful that he left enough of a legacy that I know that he will never be forgotten, and that my boys will know him, and they will know what a wonderful man he was. All of these things show me that God is still working, and that God has not left me. God has never left me. He is still on my side. He is carrying me through this, and He will get me through this. He will get all of us through this. I look to the future, and I know that my hope is in God. I know that my best life is yet to come.